Hello and welcome to another episode of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. I'm your host, Pat Soroyce. Just to let you guys know, we are a bi-monthly podcast. It means twice a month. You can get 2 episodes from us anywhere you listen to the podcast. Also, you can find us on our socials at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. We're all over the place. Look us up for clips and sneak peeks at new stuff. Also, you guys can listen to us if you like what you hear. Go to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. And you'll get 2 more episodes every month. So definitely check us out on there. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us and leave or 5-star rating, leave a review. That helps get the word out. With all that out the way, I want to introduce my co-host with me, as always, Kath Barbadoro. How you doing, Kath?
Hi, Pat. I'm good. I have very exciting news. Longtime listeners will know that I've been dealing with a back injury.
Hell yeah, back facts with with Kath.
Back facts. I hurt myself in late January and I'm still dealing with it. But today, right before this recording, I have officially been discharged from physical therapy.
Hey.
I'm done. I can lift weights now. They made me ring a bell and everyone clapped for me. It was very embarrassing.
Yeah. You're like, can I just not do that?
My PT is like, he's the man. He's so great. And he was like, do you want a speech or no speech? And I was like, no speech. And he was like, no one's ever said speech.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, can I do a type 5?
That's really embarrassing. Yeah.
I got a new bit I've been trying to work out. So nurses are bitches, right?
Yeah. No,
what
I
else
did
was
not
up?
need him to give a speech about me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's very exciting. I can lift weights again. I'm very excited about that. Yeah. What's new with you, Pat?
Nothing. Just a bunch of work. You know, like I out in a half constructed building, not even half constructed building. This has been like probably in the most in my like recent adult life where I've just kind of like I still do gigs on the weekends, but like, you know, like as we all, everybody in this room right now, you know, like as comics, like, you know, 5 nights a week, you're going on stage, you know, this is like the first time in a few years where I've just been like completely sucked into a job, mainly because I get off work and I don't want to do anything. You know, like,
well, it is a bajillion degrees outside. So
yeah, that was
problem.
I looked at the thermometer today and it fucking exploded, and then the sun was dabbing itself down with a rag. Like it was bad.
Yeah, I hope this recording comes out okay. It was so hot here today. I usually turn my AC off when I record podcasts. No can do today.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Ain't gonna happen.
And like I live in a brick building that's like 120 years old. So I live in a pizza oven, basically.
Yeah.
It gets so hot in here. And we don't have central air up here. It's all like
have you ever been cooking and like accidentally spilled some crushed red pepper on yourself? And then it's been like and then be like, damn, I need to order some pizza.
Yeah, man. That's why everyone in New York City loves pizza, because we all are just reminded of it constantly by our homes.
Yeah. Is your building pre-war?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a wonderful. I mean, it is what everyone wants because they're like they're really solidly built. The walls are really thick. The ceilings are really high. But my building has not had any updates since pre-war. Like it is a shithole. So it's not like that great. But you know, I'm
friend of the show, Zod Dej, very funny comic. Go and check him out. I saw one of his clips the other day. He has a great. He was like, "Yeah, I live in New York. I live in my building is what's known as a pre-war building. It was built before we invaded Iraq." Like, oh, Zod, you scamp.
With those new ones too, like a lot of the like kind of new quote unquote luxury builds, you'll know this, you build buildings. A lot of times they have like surface level luxury fixtures and amenities and stuff, but the walls and the actual building is like builder grade crap, and you can hear all of your neighbors.
Yep.
But because it looks nice and it has like floor to ceiling windows in some of the rooms, they can charge a bajillion dollars for it.
There is a building in downtown Austin. I forget which one it is, but it's one of the big newer skyline buildings around Rainey Street. And I've considered doing an episode on that one before. But basically, luxury condos. People pay for years in advance. They buy them and finally get to move in, and it's just like cheap apartment construction. Not like cheap apartment construction, but the construction of a cheap apartment. Like, it's just like fucking like doorknobs are coming off of people's hands. Like sliding glass closet doors are coming off the track, you know, just real chintzy shit. And everyone is up in arms. And I mean, I myself, I'm just like, that is hilarious.
Right.
There's a guy listener to the show, old Austin comedy homie who now owns is part owner of a construction company that builds luxury downtown condos, and he does a great job. So that guy's killing it. But I've been up to some places with him that were insane, where you could just see everything, the whole city. It's nuts. So I would be really pissed if I paid for that, and then like, doorknobs are coming off of my hand and shit, you know. But ultimately, because I can't pay for that, I don't care. So,
right. Yeah. Joke's on you, rich people.
Yeah. So what a big development in my life, if anybody watching the video might have noticed that I have my hand bandaged up. I got bit by a goddamn dog. And I have gone my entire adult life without that happening. Never been bit by a dog. I got bit by a dog when I was a kid, because my grandma threw a piece of fat that she was cooking to our dog, and it was wrapped up in napkin. And I was like 7. And I was like, that dog can't eat napkin. So I went to go grab. I went to go grab the napkin away from the dog, and it acted like it had never met me once before. It was like, so.
Yep.
But yeah, I got bit, and I everyone I've showed this video to was like, man, it's pretty funny. And I was like, well, fuck it, I have a comedy true crime podcast. So I show Kat this. So basically I was dog sitting for my friend. And I've dog sitted for friends before, you know, and I know that the thing that people do when they dog sit is they'll do that where they show up for the first one and they'll record coming into the house so the owners can see the dog, and you go, hey, look, the dog's doing good. Everybody's having a good time in here.
Yeah.
I had met the dog before, so it's not a stranger. And the night before, I hung out with him for like 2 hours. And I was petting him. Everything was going good, but again, my friend and his wife were there, so maybe the vibe was different.
I see. Different vibe.
Yeah, different vibe. So I don't know. We're gonna. I want to play this for you guys and just.
It is very funny.
Yeah,
do you want to do a 3, 2, 1? We'll both live react to
Yeah. There we go. So live reacting. Got it up at the start of the thing. All right, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Hey, Blue. Hey, Blue.
You come in the door.
What's up,
the dog's
buddy?
like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, dog's like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Looks good. I put my keys down. Oh no.
Oh, fuck.
All you do, you just try to give him a little pat.
I try to get a little pet.
Oh, fuck.
All over.
Done, dude. And like everyone I've showed the video to, so like this is a guy I work on the construction site with. He's one of the foremen. He's a good friend of mine. We've known each other our whole lives. And like everyone I showed the video to, everybody, especially on the construction site, has this like, oh, well, you shouldn't have approached a dog like that, or you should have. There's a lot of Monday morning dog petters out there, you know?
Yeah, a lot of victim blaming going on.
A lot of victim blaming. One person said, I would have bit you too if you would have pet my face like that. I'm like, well, you're a human. I wouldn't pet your face.
To me, I mean, look, maybe I'm wrong. I thought you were giving him a hand to smell.
That's what I did initially. It went from hand smell, and everything was fine. And I was like, okay, move in for a little chin scratch there. And
how was the dog the rest of the time? Because then you had to hang out with this dog.
Well, yeah. So I was like, I called my boy immediately. I was like, hey, just a heads up. I hate to ruin your.
This was the first time you were going into this apartment.
Yeah, first time. I was there without him, and so I show up, and I'm like, so yeah, I go outside, I call my boy, and he's like in Louisiana with his wife trying to get drunk, and I felt bad. I was like, so I call him, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? I was like, real bad. Like Blue bit me.
Your dog's a bitch.
Yeah. And like, so they're all like kind of freaking out. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know, immediately his wife cash apps me money. She was like, if you need to buy bandages or whatever. So they were like,
that's sweet of them.
Yeah, they handled it really nicely. Except my homeboy, like when I sent the video, he's like, oh yeah, man, he got his hand kind of close to his face. It's like, yeah, that was going to happen this weekend. I was going to be putting a leash and collar on the guy.
Right.
That was bound to have happened. But no, the dog goes and hides under the bed, and it won't come out. And so I'm like literally trying to jingle the leash, like, hey, come on, Blue, you want to go for a walk? Every time I get close to the door, he's like, it's just growling. So we have a third friend, because these are all friends from my hometown, and like 3 of us live in Austin now. And so he sees my friend's dog more than I do. So I call our friend Justin. And I was like, Justin, let's get you over here. Let's see if you can maybe fix this, you know? And so he gets there, one step towards the bedroom door, growls. And so we're like,
Yeah.
all right, it's done. It's a wrap. Went to the lodge, showed everybody it was a hit. So yeah, the next day, we decided to go over there again, me and Justin Justin's going to go in first in case it's a me thing, in case the dog just doesn't like me.
Yeah.
And so Justin goes in, dog comes out, sees it's not my friend Sean, and just immediately bolts back under the bed, won't come out.
Aw.
So we fill his dog food bowl up, and I basically tell my friend, I was like, look, I will gladly come over here every 5 or 6 hours and fill up the dog food bowl if you guys don't want to cut your 4-day weekend in Louisiana short, because I know,
Right.
Vacation. Like, he works hard. He's a hardworking guy. So I was like, if you guys just want to deal with, the piss and shit when you get home, if you're fine with that, I will feed the dog and it'll probably just hide from me the whole time. And they were like, no, that's clearly not what we want to do. So they drove back from Louisiana, cut the weekend short.
Was this their first time trying to have a dog sitter?
I think it was their first time. I think and he was like, man, my boy was like, man, he's like, I know that he barks when people come in, but he's like, I always figure it's just one of those things the dogs do, and that everything's gonna be fine. But apparently the dog was just not ready to be left alone with anybody but them. So
that's sad.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, he still got the time off work, but it wasn't like he was at the casino in Louisiana with his family and shit. Yeah, it was him and his wife, his dad. His dad hops on a FaceTime call and tried to be like, I didn't go to the emergency room because I didn't want to spend my weekend in the fucking emergency room. I just wanted to.
Right.
It was Friday.
Yeah.
I wanted to go get beers. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'll just clean it up, bandage it. I did that. It's fine. But his dad, I showed it to him on the FaceTime, and his dad was like, yeah, you'll be good, man. Just get some duct tape on it. I was like, that's funny. That's also coming from a man who got bit by a rattlesnake and just rode it out.
And this is cool. Just raw dog that
Yeah,
shit.
this guy just rod. It was like,
Amazing.
shit, rattlesnake bite. And it was just off his feet for 2 weeks until one of them basically grew back. Like his foot kind of like halfway rotted away and came back. And he was
Oh
like,
my God.
he was like, you're good. And I was like, thanks, Mr. Witt.
That's like the joke is like in ERs and stuff is like if like a lone farmer comes in, that guy is on the brink of death.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like those guys do not go to the ER.
Yeah, very few farmers ring the bell at the end of their stay.
At the end of their physical therapy,
Yeah.
they're not doing that.
Dude, that's funny. I remember my uncle bred German Shepherds, and he got bit and just ignored it, and he was in the hospital like 4 days later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they can be gnarly. I mean, we talked about how my cat bit me. Cat bites are worse than dog bites.
Yeah.
but yeah, you gotta keep an eye on that shit.
Yeah,
'cause it'll go bad.
it's been good at work. I've been using tools there's a couple things that are going to be
You're
left
probably
hand.
out of the woods at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
As far as like infection or
Oh,
anything.
good. My uncle who breeds German Shepherds is also just like a lifelong outlaw. And if you breed German Shepherds, you can make a killing if you'll sell them to police departments, and he refuses.
I bet. Oh, hell yeah. That's dope.
Yeah, he won't do it. This is the guy who would introduce my dad. He goes, this is my brother Pat. He's a cop, and I'm a robber. That's exactly.
That's sick. That's really good.
Shout out Phil Sorois of PS Lock Shop. He's a locksmith. PS Lock Shop. PS. Don't forget to call Phil. So, anyways, but speaking of biting the hand that feeds you, I wanted to talk today about a creative type, a man who was given a once in a lifetime career opportunity in entertainment, and some would say blew it. I would say did the coolest thing you could possibly do.
I just feel like, I don't know. I've never had like a big one, but like I can identify with someone who got a career opportunity and kind of blew it. I feel like I've done that a few times in my comedy career.
Yeah.
A little bit of a choke artist, you might say. So yeah, I'm on this guy's side already. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear it.
The guy we're going to talk about today is a man named Carl Rinsch. And Carl Rinsch.
Cool name.
Yeah,
Very
Carl
cool
Rinsch.
name.
Yeah, he really threw a wrench in the operations over at Netflix. Yeah, this guy. So you guys may have heard this story before. It got some coverage, but it's something I always want to do for the show, and I just was like, you know what? Let's dive into it. We're going to talk today about a guy who is a director. You may have known him from he directed the movie. Was it 47 Ronin? How many Ronin were there? 47. Thank you,
that's right.
John.
I think that's the amount.
So many goddamn Ronin, I can't keep track of them. You know, they're just, yeah, they're all over. You turn on the lights, Ronin scatter everywhere. But so yeah, this guy, his name was Carl Rinsch, and basically he got a deal. He's a young director, or not young necessarily, but unproven director. Was given an amazing deal by Netflix during the streaming wars. of which there were plenty of casualties. And he just kind of, it was $55 million, and my man went ham. Yeah, $55 million.
$55 million to make a series?
To make a series, to make a sci-fi series that we'll go over it. It's doesn't seem original at all. I don't know how the hell this garnered $55 million, but he had some celebrity support. But it was just
and this was just off the success of 47 Ronin.
No, 47 Ronin is a universally loathed, critically panned, despised film.
Okay, so it's even more confusing.
It's even more confusing, yes.
Because it's not like he did something else. It's like
No.
he did 47 Ronin, they were like, all right, here we go.
He did 47 Ronin, he did a couple commercials, and he worked with Ridley Scott as literally for his production company. Not in a creative capacity, but he did learn from the guy.
Sure.
From all intents and purposes, he's not like, or from all accounts, he seems like he's not an unskilled filmmaker. He had made some short commercials that won awards. All of his commercials have like a futuristic feel, and they were like, "Oh, go for sci-fi." What really is going to get examined today is the nature of these streaming services and just how cuckoo for content they were in 2018, and how not only did they want the shows for themselves, but they wanted to stop other networks from getting shows because the streaming model is just it's broken. We kind of touched. We came up tangentially in one of the last episodes we recorded. It's panning out to not be the best way to watch television or movies.
Yeah. It turns out like advertising, straightforward conventional advertising, is kind of the most profitable way to give people television.
Yeah. The soap operas, okay? Fucking Palmolive was willing to fork out big bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So your grandma could get like a little hot and bothered at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Did you ever have an older relative that you watched soap operas with?
No, but my friend's mom was really into that.
Yeah.
So I would watch it with my friend and her mom, and I think it was The Young and the Restless she liked.
My grandma, it was General Hospital. Then like General Hospital spun into Port Charles, and then it was Passions with the little my grandma loved Passions.
Oh yeah.
So let's get into this here. So streaming services, as we all know, they began disrupting the TV and movie industry about 14 years ago. They changed the power structure of the industry, changed the format of the product it creates, and also changed the way we consume the product. I think about all the time when I watch TV is that, like when you go back and watch old TV shows that had commercial breaks in them and were written for commercial breaks, it's a different style of writing. They had to write, they had to have like several like slight cliffhangers or big endings per episode. And I'm not saying it's worse, but it's certainly made for a different beast. Is kind of crazy. You don't see that anymore.
The pacing of a show with commercials is really different than the pacing of a show on streaming. And like with streaming, they always want you to watch the next episode kind of right away.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a difference. I feel like with regular serially produced TV with commercials, it is like you have these little peaks and valleys throughout the show because they need you to want to watch past a commercial break. And then the end of the show, they wanted you to watch next week, but there was more of a resolution because there wasn't anything for you to watch right then. So like, they would do cliffhangers sometimes, but I feel like it was less like every episode of a streaming show has a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're right. It's a totally different beast. It's really interesting.
Cliffhangers used to enrapture the nation. Like, who shot JR? Who shot Mr. Burns? It was always somebody who's getting shot. People get murked left and right. And we had to wait an entire year to find out who was shooting who. Oh man. I work with several 20-year-olds at my job. And this kid the other day literally was like, dude, so you were alive for the transition from grunge to nu metal? I guess
you didn't know it was that historic at the time.
Yeah. It's like when they study ancient Rome and they're like, they wouldn't even have known Rome fell, It's like, I didn't even know what I was living through. I just knew my jeans got bigger, my hair got spikier, and that's, But so right now, streaming is the way we watch everything. And while we live in an era where studios are cranking out some classics, we also live in an era where we just need stuff to watch. It's not TV, it's not movies, it's content. Entirely new type of product being put out. And ultimately, that's what every streaming platform wants. They want content. They want shit on the screen, something that'll blow up and maybe become a billion-dollar franchise, but the vast majority of it will not. They know that. And Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Hulu, HBO, they know the only way to find that billion-dollar franchise is to just throw tens of millions of dollars at prospective new shows and TV series. And so in 2024, as we're talking about right now, this model is beginning to get reined in. But not long ago, there was a time when some very unlikely people could get a series or a movie greenlit by a streaming giant and get an insane payday and have a chance to become a household name and make even more projects in the future. So that's what happened with a Netflix project known as The Conquest, or simply as Conquest, not The Conquest. Netflix heard about this young but unproven director named Carl Rinsch, who was workshopping a sci-fi series around a major streaming outlets. Netflix really wanted a show that could match the views it got off Stranger Things. It's like Netflix has pretty much been in a spiral trying to recreate Stranger Things.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what the big ones are from streaming, and Stranger Things, like, hard to beat that. I feel like that's probably the biggest one ever. Did you watch it? I liked the first season, and then I was like, I was done.
I watched. I caught up on it recently because my new roommate watched it. So no, actually, I'm sorry. I caught up before that because I'm caught up. But there was like a few years where I didn't watch, and I think I just had like a week off, and I watched.
Is it not done? It's not.
No, they're coming
yet?
out one last season, and those kids are good. Those kids are gonna look fucking 38, dude.
They're 30. They're old. That is crazy.
Yeah,
that is so crazy.
Drake has stopped texting 11. Like he's not even interested anymore, dude. Like
she's too old. She's aged out. God, that is wild.
Yeah,
because it became like, the thing is, like, I watched the first season and I was like, oh cool, this is like an 80s homage to like old like Steven Spielberg type and like horror, and like that was cool. And then it was like, oh, this is so successful, they're giving it $1 bajillion, and it's like, okay, well now I'm not interested, because that wasn't what I liked about this.
Yeah, that tends to happen sometimes. Well, because you have shows that like only exist because of streaming, and I think that's Stranger Things. That wouldn't have been a network show, and that's not a dig at it. It's good.
Yeah.
But like then you have like House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones. Like HBO would have ran that in the 2000s if they could. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I guess they really did. 2010
Game of Thrones kind of was sort of simultaneous with the birth of streaming, I think. Like the first few seasons. So
I've been watching The Boys, which The Boys fucking rules. I love that show. And one thing I like about every season of The Boys, we're talking about resolution and cliffhangers, is every season does it, like, it ends with like some resolution. And like the fourth season, the next season picks up, and it's like the characters are all in a new place now, and that's kind of cool, and I think a little rare these days. So, but so Netflix gave Carl Rinsch roughly $60 million, and Carl in turn went fucking bananas, and Netflix never got the show they wanted so very, very badly. So we're gonna talk today about what happened, starting with who is Carl Rinsch? Who is that man? He's tall. He's scraggly. He looks like who the hell does he look like? He looks like a Patrick Wilson kind of type a little bit.
Okay.
But more accurately, Austin comedian fans might know David Howe. He kind of looks like David Howe.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
I can see somewhere between those two people. Yeah.
Yeah, and he so he's tall, I know that. But he grew up in the San Fernando Valley. His father was an insurance executive. And he started renting. He was a kid. He was the kind of guy that would rent camera equipment, shoot short films in his early teens. He attended Brown University, and then he returned to Los Angeles. He joined Ridley Scott's production company, and he started like making commercials and apprenticing under the acclaimed director. I didn't know that like a lot of like big name directors will still do commercials, or at least do them through their production companies. I found that out. Like who was it? Edgar Wright did a McDonald's commercial in Britain, and it kind of slapped. It was pretty tight, but. So friends say that Mr. Rinsch always had a quirky side. Quirky is a word that's going to keep coming up when I watch things describing this guy. We find out later he was diagnosed with autism. And
I was going to say, I feel like that's usually a euphemism for spectrum behavior.
But he was like, he had a habit when he was growing up. He'd tell tall tales about his childhood. He'd tell people he grew up in Africa and that his father was a spy. I mean, he grew up in his San Fernando Valley and his dad worked at an insurance company. So bit of a stretch. Like he was just at one point they said he was living at the Huntley Hotel in Santa Monica and insisted that the staff cover every inch of his room in white sheets. And I don't know how much it is a night there, but I'd be like, man, get fucked, buddy.
That's what the dude does in The Card Counter, which is a movie I have referenced on this show before. That's,
word.
Psycho PTSD war veteran behavior.
Oh yeah. Well, he did grow up in war-torn Africa, so
that is true.
Yeah. So yeah, he was doing commercials or whatever, kind of flying under the radar. But then where he came into public acclaim was with the movie 47 Ronin. Now, 47 Ronin is a 2013 American historical fantasy action film directed by Carl Rinsch, his sole theatrical directorial effort. It was written by Chris Morgan and Hossein Amini from a story conceived by Morgan and Walter Hamada. Essentially, this is a famous story in Eastern cultures, especially Japan, is the 47 Ronin. It adapts this story where basically there was a group of these samurai that get disgraced and have to leave their clan and have to turn to Ronins, who are wanderers. They're less than second class citizens. They have no rights, no legal protection. Essentially, like what the term outlaw used to mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they then, spoiler alert for a 1,000-year-old story here, but like they go back into battle, they plot their revenge, they prove themselves, and they are given the opportunity to reclaim the title of samurai, meaning that they can kill themselves with honor through seppuku. And then that's which I don't know.
Gotta work on the ending a little bit.
Yeah.
An American movie, I'd imagine.
I was wondering,
it doesn't end that way.
No, it actually does. It stays true and faithful to the story. I was wondering, because I've never seen it, but it's got Keanu Reeves in it. So shout out Keanu. But it's got Keanu Reeves in it, and I was wondering if it bombed because of the ending, because I'm like, is it really just bad, or because it has a bad audience score, but also a bad critic score. But I think, and this is a lot of stretch for a guy who's not seen this movie, but I watched a bunch of interviews with Carl, and he was talking about how it's very visual and stylish, and they try to draw from Asian motifs, but do it in make it palatable for a Western audience, and hoping they can appeal to both. And apparently, it's a ton of 3D shit, which I know a lot of film critics tend to pan or not like. It's a lot of computer generated stuff, but I'm wondering if the effects blew it for the critics and the ending blew it for the audience, because audiences are very forgiving. With movies, you see audience scores are for the worst movie you've ever seen, it has a 91% tomato meter thing. Yeah.
They don't as long as it's not too challenging, you can usually do okay. But yeah, I feel like the ending, probably, if people weren't expecting that, that's probably gonna bum some people out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And also just be sort of difficult to explain.
Yeah.
If it's people who don't know much about that tradition or whatever.
Yeah, that always.
I don't know. I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen it either. I've watched some foreign films. I had a roommate, AJ, who would watch 5-hour Hungarian films with 4 lines of dialogue. And
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't know. I can vibe. I like it, but it is kind of cool to see cultural stuff that just doesn't make sense to me. Where I'm oh, I just don't even get what the implication is here, but everybody else understands it. And that's why I like a lot of Korean television that's coming out, because I think one of the things I like about it a lot, especially more comedic stuff like Squid Games. Squid Games it has comedy. It's obviously pretty intense too. But I've noticed that a lot of in Korean and Japanese films and Chinese films, especially when doing comedy, there tends to be a little bit of an overacting element to it, and I love it, dude. I love just the lady in Squid Game, the chick on the team, her expressions are just out of this world every time. She's shooting for the fences. I love it. But audiences didn't like this movie, and that sucks because it bombed bad. It had a $175 million budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna this is the one disappointing thing about all this is we talk about these huge amounts of money, and I know there's $175 million movies that I love, and but when one bombs, it's you just think you're what the fuck? Wait, how are we just cranking?
Right.
Yeah, it really makes you think about where that money goes.
So how much did this make?
It made so globally, it actually didn't do as bad as I think it was anticipated. Reception here, it made so. It made, oh, no, it did actually. It opened on 753 screens, and it grossed an estimated 1.3 million in the opening weekend.
Okay.
When you factor in its international releases, because we got 20.6 million total in America. When you factor in its international money, it still lost them $100 million.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough. Because I do feel like sometimes these movies, they just try to make it back on the international market, and a lot of times they do. But yeah, that's brutal. Especially with a movie like this, they're probably really hoping for that, and then no dice.
Yeah, no dice. But so he bombed, or it bombed, but like also that's when people started to realize that Mr. Rinsch was very difficult to work with. He just like there was like the cast really didn't like him. He just like had like there's a lot of spats. People that said he was
quirkiness is not
the
is
quirkiness.
not
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
What is it? I love movies so much, but like directors and actors tend to suck for very different reasons. Like directors tend to be like just gigantic assholes, and actors just tend to be just useless, annoying people. And like, boy, you get them together, sometimes you strike gold.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like a lot of times we've talked about this with comics. It's like the B-list people are the assholes.
Yeah.
The A-list people are cool, and the like sort of D-list people are cool.
Yeah,
It's the people
yeah.
who are almost there that are the problem. And I think that's with directors too. Because like if you're a lead in a movie, your like mood and like whether you have a good day or a bad day affects like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And that's true of directors too. And I feel like if you're even a little bit emotionally like up and down, you can cause so many like the downstream effects of that make you incredibly difficult, even
Yeah.
if you're like a relatively normal person. Like I think if I were a director or an actor, I think people might call me difficult. And I
Yeah.
don't think I'm that difficult. I'm just like a little bit moody.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, but when so much is riding on you constantly being like positive and upbeat and optimistic and like kind of like a coach almost, if you're not like that, it's gonna like cause problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can
So
see that.
I don't know. Not to defend these people.
No,
but-
you're 100% right. I just like I guess with directors, I could think a better word would be like they're particular. They have a vision, and that's what makes a great director. He has a vision, and he's uncompromising in it. But like,
and they can also throw temper tantrums in that being uncompromising.
what
and
that
it's,
looks like
very
at the ground
stupid.
floor is you're getting a fucking iced coffee thrown at your head or whatever.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, well, like so they so he came out, but one thing he did do that was valuable on this movie set was that he became friends with Keanu Reeves, which always a good move. You can pull it off.
Right, if my movie bombs, I don't care if I get Keanu Reeves being my friend out of it. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah. I'll do that all day. Yeah, so but in this, so yeah, he clashed with one of the producers, a guy named Scott Stuber, and at one point they say he was removed from the editing room. However, I found two sources. This New York Times article that I'm reading from right here says that he was removed from the editing room, but then like two other higher up sources were like, no, that didn't happen. But who knows? Either way, it bombed, and Universal had to write off a large portion of its $175 million budget. So at this point, for most people, that's the end. You're done. They called you up to the big leagues. You fucked up. Like you
gave it a shot. Nice try.
Yeah, you're gonna go back.
Keanu Reeves' shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, you're gonna be back to producing the commercials for the next Lexus December to Remember sales event, and that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So Mr. Rinsch went back to making commercials. Now on the side, he and his wife. Oh, this dude also had like a fashion model, a fashion designer, and fashion model wife from Uruguay named Gabriela Roses Betancourt. So they began working on a passion project of his. It was a sci-fi TV series about a genius who invents a human-like species called the Organic Intelligent, the OI. Oi! He called them I just realized that in print. He called them the Oi. That's tight. All right. So the Oi are supposed to be like these omni-humans that are deployed to troubled spots around the globe to provide humanitarian aid. But humans eventually discover their true nature and turn against them. Doesn't sound like a super original concept by any means.
Yeah, I don't watch a whole lot of sci-fi, but I feel like I've seen versions of this.
Yeah. I've seen iRobot. I've seen fucking Raised by Wolves. Here's the thing is, I have infinite patience for sci-fi based solely off the concept. I'll give a show a shot. Any listeners out there, let me know if you ever watched the HBO show Beforeigners. You ever watch that?
No.
Beforeigners, sound off in the comments. Beforeigners fucking rules, man. It's like it's from HBO Norway, and it's
HBO Norway. Wow,
yeah.
Show?
Yeah, what's that?
It's a Norwegian show.
Yeah, it's a Norwegian TV show. It's about the Norway. This for whatever reason, the Bay or all over the globe, but it focuses on Norway. The Bay in Oslo. People start floating up from the bay, and they're from 10,000 BC. They're from the 1200s, like the Viking ages, or they're from the 1850s. And they just start coming up. They have no clue how it happened or how they got there, but they're showing up. And it's kind of like a take on the immigration crisis. And it's foreigners. And the city just turns into like the inner city is like, there's dudes herding goats. There's like the opening series like shot. There's a guy riding one of those big wheeled bicycles, but he's got AirPods in. He's kind of going.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's cool. And this lady who was a shield maiden in the 1200s becomes like a detective, and it's like a kind of an equal opportunity hire. And it's just like, it's a really cool thing. They have all this cool potential, and it just never really pans out. Season 1 is like kind of cool. Season 2 comes along, and Jack the Ripper supposedly might be back, and you're like, okay, this seems kind of sick. But they fumble that too. But I'll watch an entire sci-fi series if the concept is cool, even if it's complete trash. I've done it countless times, and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I will continue it on. But the humans eventually discover their true nature, turn against them. Mr. Rinsch was eventually going to call the show White Horse, a reference to the first horseman of the apocalypse. They ended up changing it to Conquest. So at first he financed the project out of pocket, and he was just taking money and trying to shoot like a pilot first season of like 10-minute episodes, to turn into a place.
Sizzle reel.
Yeah, a little sizzle reel, and so he did this, and he skirted a lot of like Hollywood rules. He hired non-union actors. He got a lot of like foreign actors in there, but not out of like some benevolent thing of like, hey, let's give you a shot. It was literally to skirt union rules.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
you don't want to pay people the day rate or whatever.
Yeah. I don't want to pay people what they're worth. What do you think I am, fucking crazy? I'm not going to do that. So the early shoots followed punishing schedules. He at one point in Kenya, they shot for 24 hours straight. Two members of the production crew said in Romania, the lead actress caught hypothermia while doing a scene in the snow, had to be rushed to a hospital. To keep the project going, Mr. Rinsch secured an investment from a company called 30 West, a production company backed by the billionaire entrepreneur Dan Friedkin. But when Mr. Rinsch missed the deadline, 30 West threatened to take possession of the project. So Carl's kind of freaking out. So he calls his buddy, John Wick, Keanu Reeves, gets him in there. So
nice.
Keanu Reeves steps in, and that's his boy. He comes in, he rescues it by becoming an executive producer, and now he's attached to it. They're able to finish this little small season, and they start shopping it around. And this is at 2018, right at the start of the streaming wars. And so people are just like, giving tons of money away. But one of the big things was not only do you want that project, you don't want your competitor to get that project.
Right. You don't want to have passed on the biggest streaming show ever.
Yeah,
you don't want to be the executive that said no to that and let the other company get it, because then you're fucking sucked.
They will beat you to death.
Yeah. Well, especially in 2018, it's better to option something that doesn't work than it is to miss out on something that did.
Yeah.
Professionally. And all these people are trying to cover their asses.
Yeah. And I get it. You don't want heads to roll. It's kind of a business where you can't really bounce back from a mistake. However, Mr. Carl Rinsch will prove that is not always the case. Yeah. But so this is kind of interesting. So they had basically Amazon was up, and Amazon was like, "Yo, we want this." They were talking like we can get multiple seasons, we can get spin-offs out of this, and they reached an informal 8-figure agreement. But before they had the chance to put it in writing, Netflix swooped in. Cindy Holland, the company's vice president of original content at the time, called Mr. Rinsch at home on a Sunday and dangled millions of dollars more, as well as something studios rarely give directors: Final Cut. So she said, "I will let you log into my Final Cut program." And he was like, "Dude, that shit's so expensive."
That's what you mean. They gave him an Adobe subscription.
Yeah.
They threw that in. Huge deal.
Yeah, dude, he's getting Netflix. He can stream on as many TVs as he wants. They have just for him. Like anybody can get it. No, yeah, they gave him Final Cut. And what that means in show business terms is that ultimately, unless you are a very short list of directors, you don't get final say over your product. And this happens all the time where you'll hear about directors falling out with studios because they have different creative divisions. This happens because directors almost 99% of the time do not have Final Cut. So that's what that boils down to. So they gave him that. So now this dude has it's a $60 million deal that'll come in installments. And we'll get into the math on that a little bit. But he gets and Final Cut. And this dude directed one movie that sucked, and he directed like a commercial that did win awards. The commercial won awards, But like,
Sure.
yeah, like
Totally unproven that he can do anything narrative, let alone an entire series.
Yeah. You know what else commercial won awards? The Was Up commercials from Budweiser. Actually, I don't think they did, but they
Right.
should have. They should.
I think they did.
Yeah,
I feel like
they
I feel
won
like
the
they probably
cultural award of just being
Right.
fucking cool. Man, beer commercials. Shout out, dude. Those. So, yeah, and usually, like again, the guys that normally get this, we're talking like Spielberg, James Cameron, Peter Jackson, Quentin Tarantino, the Wachowskis, and the Coens, and that's about it. And that affects things like budget, runtime, things you can get away with. So, with the money Mr. Reeves contributed, Mr. Rinsch finished editing 6 short episodes ranging from 4 to 10 minutes. And that is what he pitched eventually to Netflix. Netflix takes it. $61.2 million was the actual number of the budget. So they said it was going to be several installments for the rights to the series, and then they were the ones that like, let's rename it Conquest because White Horse sounds dumb.
Yeah.
And so according to a November 2018 term sheet reviewed by The Times, the deal included 2 unusual clauses. Netflix gave Mr. Rinsch final cut, a privilege it had previously bestowed on a few directors, and it assured Mr. Rinsch and Mrs. Roses, this was his wife, was going to be an executive producer, that they would remain locked for life to all subsequent seasons and spinoffs. Who else has?
Can't get rid of them.
Yeah, who else has that? Is the what's the True Detective guy's name?
Nick Pizzolatto.
Nick Pizzolatto.
Yeah.
He has that, although he doesn't want it for the last one that came out.
Right. He's angry about it. But
I liked it. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I'm like, I don't like, I know what really good TV looks like, and I know what really bad TV looks like. So I'm very forgiving of middling TV.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine.
I feel like, we could do a whole episode of me complaining about prestige TV as a genre and like what that has done to what people's expectations are of TV, what TV series expectations are of audiences. Like, I think we need just like mid TV. It's fine. Dude, we need mid weed and we need mid TV, and you smoke the mid weed while you watch the mid TV, and you have a great night. These things need to come back.
Yeah. You save the nuclear shit for Sunday night, 9:00, with whatever HBO is throwing up at that current set of weeks.
Exactly.
like that's when you break. Like, but something where you can just smoke a joint that's not going to not going to end your day, and you can watch a middling TV show that my roommate loves to watch is Resident Alien. I
don't know it, but sounds right.
Sounds right. Yeah.
What I'm talking about.
It's an alien crash lands, takes the form of a human, and has to like hide the human he took's body and like live in this small town. It turns out they're all really nice to him. Yeah, and it's it's just like it's tonally inconsistent, which I love, and it's just it's perfect middling TV. It's not that good. It's not that bad. Middle TV. Yeah, that's what we need. So, in granting Mr. Rinsch such generous terms, Netflix ignored several red flags. One of them was the project's troubled past. At the time, Mr. Rinsch was still fighting with 30 West and other early investors. They received $14 million of the so 30 West and Dan Friedkin, they got $14 million out of that $61 million
from this deal. Yeah, they got paid back and all of that. Yeah.
So now we're at like $47 million. Another was the fact that the series didn't have a complete script, and that's. Like when you look at productions that go off the rails, this is like always the first step is that there's no completed script. So
I feel like a lot of times with TV, they just have the pilot. I feel like that's fairly common that they don't have the entire season written out.
I don't think he had
they have it at least storyboarded or something.
Yeah, as far as I understand, there was I don't think he had the actual pilot for the first episode scripted out. He had that little.
Yeah, he just had the little
sizzle reel.
Yeah, that's probably no good.
Yeah.
This is sort of reminding me too, because it's like, I get why they sort of tried this though, because like that sort of became like the famous thing about Game of Thrones. Like after Game of Thrones ended, those two showrunners gave an interview where they were basically just like, yeah, we had no fucking idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were completely unprepared. And like the stuff they were saying, it was like, you shouldn't say this.
Yeah.
Like, I think they honestly, like, they lost another project, and I think it wasn't really because of that interview, but like it sort of like it didn't help.
They essentially hinted that they were rushing through Game of Thrones to move on to that project that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
There were a lot of things they said that like basically made it seem like HBO was sort of handing them blank checks.
Yeah.
And they were not because they'd never like run something of that magnitude before. So like, Yeah, they were not using it as effectively as they could have.
Dude, I'll tell you, once you...
Yeah, so I get why Netflix maybe thought, like, you know what? Yeah, he doesn't have the script. Yeah, he's not super proven, but like it worked for Game of Thrones. We think this idea is strong.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You know who else didn't have a script? The Impractical Jokers, ever. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they have their own crews.
They have their own crew.
Yeah.
They're the Empire.
I've heard like interviews with those guys because like a couple of our comics, and it's talking about like those cruises they say are just unbearable because like they can't even walk to the bathroom. Everybody's like, uh-oh. What's going on? He's like, no, I'm just getting the buffet. And here they're like, oh, he's about to do something.
Exhausting.
So yeah, so eventually they start production, and they start shooting in Budapest, Hungary, and at this point he just like he kind of starts going off the rails. This guy does have mental health problems, but mental health, it is not your fault. It is your responsibility. And this guy is walking around Budapest, Hungary on set, being like, my wife, who's an executive producer, he's like, yeah, she's trying to have me assassinated. And that's something not enough people are talking about. How my wife is trying to kill me. Like that's setting people off. So at this point, and then also he's just having like a really hard time dealing with the people on set. And then at this time is when COVID hits. And my man goes off the deep end. Now, it has been confirmed that he was abusing Vyvanse. And that'll do it, you know, that will do. He was prescribed that he had ADHD and autism, but he was definitely abusing Vyvanse. So at this point, he starts like telling people stuff like that he can map the COVID energy because as he said, COVID is a signal and it's emanating from inside the earth, and he can map where it comes out at. And
definitely the type of thing where you're like, I'm so glad I gave this guy $60 million.
Yeah.
The guy saying this, that I feel very comfortable with.
Yeah, if you got cornered by like an unhoused person on the bus, and I've been like, man, this is really rough. Imagine if that guy owed you $60 million.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. So he also started saying that he can predict lightning strikes, which if it's storming outside, I bet I could too, to a degree of certainty.
Yeah. I'll just look for something high up.
Yeah. You know what I'll do is I'll wait till I hear thunder, and then I'll go, and then I'll wait till I hear the lightning. Is that it? Right? It's thunder, then lightning.
Thunder first, then lightning.
Yeah, thunder first, then lightning. Josh shaking his head no.
I always thought it was once the lightning hits, and
I think it is the bat. I think it
is. You hear the lightning, then you count until the thunder, and that's how many miles away it is.
Yeah,
and that's how you stop being scared and go to sleep.
Yep.
Happened to me last week. You know, like fucking terrified. Like, what's making that noise? Anyways, I'm hiding under the bed with the dog. I'm like, I don't know either, man. I also don't know what's happening out there.
You bit yourself.
So this is happening. So then the next thing you know, he said like he hits up Netflix and he's like, yo, I need $11 million more. And Netflix is like, oh, hold up, screw. You need 11, you need $11 million more. And he's like, basically he's like, they're like, well, we don't think we're not going to give it to you. We're going to give you $11 million. And he does, this is a ballsy move. Guys, if somebody ever owes you $40 million, if you have borrowed $61 million from somebody, you need $11 million more. Remind them of the sunk cost fallacy. Because he was like, dude, this whole thing is going to go tits up if you don't give me $11 million more. And so Netflix is like, all right, fine. We'll give you $11 million more. And he says, thank you. And then he logs out of the chat with Netflix, logs directly into his Charles Schwab investment account, and moves $10.5 million from his investment account, or from his working account with Netflix, and moves it into his personal Charles Schwab investment account.
Just stealing money. He stole money.
He starts betting on stock options. And this is like, so everything's crashing during COVID, right? So he starts betting that things are going to get even worse because he can predict lightning. So why not, because the thing about lightning is it strikes twice.
If you needed to be completely crazy during COVID to predict that things were going to get worse.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
100% true.
That's actually a pretty safe bet.
Well, it actually wasn't because because like the Standards and Poor's had dropped like 53 points or some shit like that. And he was like, it's going to keep tumbling. It didn't. So he lost money like that. Eventually, he loses $5.9 million
Of Netflix's money with his investment.
Of Netflix's money with his investment, yes.
Okay.
So Netflix at this point is at their wits' end, and they now at one point I glazed over this part, but at one point back in Budapest, they had like an intervention for him, like not like a drug intervention, but like a hey man, what the hell kind of
Stop
intervention.
being so fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it was Hey, you gotta chill out, dude.
Chill out.
Yeah, and they brought the chillest dude ever. Keanu was there for the intervention.
Yeah, I would want him at my intervention.
Yeah, I want him everywhere, man. I just, anytime would be good. Keanu, you ever want to stop by? The pad's open. But so eventually they're like, we don't know what the hell's going on. They're like, we need to get our fucking, like our money back. So they eventually they hit up his wife and they're like, hey, can you get us the footage? And his wife is like, I am terrified to even bring that up. Not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Not gonna do it. And it's like
I'm about to assassinate.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, right.
Puts
Like
down the sniper rifle and picks up her phone and it's Netflix.
Yeah, she's got it like shouldered with the scope. It's like, she's like Netflix shit. Hold on. Hey, what's up? So Netflix finally is like, okay, this has been enough. We're pulling the plug. Conquest is shut down. They tell Carl, look, man, you're free to sell the show. But the caveat is that if you do sell the show, we need to be reimbursed the $40 million. So essentially, nobody's going to buy this show from him. And so at this point, Carl is at the end of his rope, right? His show's done. His wife's trying to kill him. His pets' heads are falling off.
The COVID energy is off.
The COVID energy. He's been less accurate than he wants to be on his lightning strike predictions. And so he's just like, man, what do I do? I got $4 million left. And what do you do when you have $4 million left? You put
I don't know anything. That's more money than
anything
I've
you
ever
want.
had in my life.
Anything you ever want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy decides he's going to put it in Dogecoin.
Oh my
God. Dogecoin,
okay.
the meme coin that was made to kind of make fun of fucking crypto.
This guy can't stop losing.
Yeah. Well, Kath.
Did he do good?
Yo, it blows up. My man gets $27 million off of his Dogecoin investment.
He does not deserve
He
of that. He should have to give that back to Netflix.
He should. Well, he does in a weird way. So here's what happened. So he gets $27 million. If you look at the little graph, he bought when it was at its lowest and sold like days before it fucking crashed.
Days before the crash. Yeah, right.
I mean, you take enough Vyvanse, you can pull that off.
Maybe he does have some kind of psychic ability. You
Yeah.
know? Not that you need a psychic ability to know Dogecoin was going to crash, but it sounds like he did it right.
Yeah.
You know?
He did it at the right time.
And, yeah.
So it blows up, $27 million. My man goes ham. All right. Like, it's the only way to describe what he does after this. So at first I thought this was just sheer insanity. And then I was like, wait a minute, there might have been a method to his madness. He buys 5 Rolls Royces.
Okay.
5 Rolls Royces. You can only drive one of those at a time.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I feel that way about anybody with multiple cars.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you want like a big one and a small one or something, but like, I don't know. Give me a Honda Fit. That's all I ever want.
I drive
$1 million, I'll drive a Honda Fit.
I drive a Scion XD. I pull up to a parking lot full of, and we've talked about this before, construction guys don't always drive the trucks you'd imagine, but a lot of the times they very much do. But like a lot of them I pull up and like, I don't know, like everybody's like, oh, you're gonna get the little car. And I'm like, I inherited this from my dad, although he had a very cool car, but he had like when he got out of the military, he got a Camaro, but he got the 6-cylinder and he got the automatic. And his friends were like, oh, Pat got the 6, the automatic. But I was like, yeah, I just want to drive the car. And they were like,
to get places.
Yeah. And he would pay to get his oil changed. And they're like, oh, Pat's going to buy that expensive car and not change his oil. But that's the coolest thing. He's like, I changed oil for 22 years in the Army. I don't want to change oil. I want to drive a fucking Camaro. That's all I want. I just want to sit in it. I'm not trying to do anything else. So yeah, I pull up my car, don't give a shit. He buys 5 Rolls Royces, 1 Ferrari, a $400 million, I'm sorry, a $400,000 watch, not a $100 million watch, $400,000 watch, millions in furniture. And so now his, like, all in all, his spending spree was for $9 million. And his wife was like, at this point, she's divorcing him. She's like, you know what? I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to let him live, but he's going to do it without me. And so, also, I Googled his wife, like, yeah, you blew it, dude.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And so, so he gets, so she's divorcing him. So he says that none of this, these purchases, no, I didn't have a hot Dogecoin buyout, not at all. This is all props for Conquest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, these all sound like things you need for a sci-fi show.
Yeah, sci-fi show.
Rolls Royces,
$4,000 watch. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For me to wear for Conquest.
Designer clothes that fit me. Okay. Yeah. So his wife's lawyers are like that. He's hiding assets. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm buying props. So then Netflix is like, well, hold on. You're buying all these fucking props. Like, you owe us all this money. He's like, I'm not buying props. These are my Dogecoin winnings. You can't have this. And like, it's like, well, what is it, man? So eventually, Netflix sues him, and Carl, it just really swinging for the fences every time, sues them back for $14 million. He's like, no, you guys actually owe me $14 million.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, we don't owe you $14 million. And then he was like, yeah, you do. Well, that finally finished, they do not owe him $14 million. In fact, as of a lawsuit that was, the court case was finished in March, he owes them $8 million.
$8 million is not bad considering what they gave him.
Not bad at all.
I would take that deal. Yeah.
Yeah, the $27 million off the Dogecoin, right? So it's $27 million of Dogecoin, $8 million on Fuckboy Fantasy, and then $8 million to Netflix, $16 million. You got $11 million left. I know.
You're doing fine.
I know it doesn't work like that, but like still.
Right.
Yeah, $11 million.
You
However,
had a good time. You spent that money.
Yeah, you had a good time. And that seems to be kind of where he's left off at. Like let's see, despite the setbacks with Conquest and its stock market losses, Rinsch, in May 2024, the arbitrator ruled that he owed Netflix $8.78 million and the rights to the existing show footage, of which there's very little. There's almost none.
And that will just sit in a vault forever because who the fuck gives a shit?
Yeah. That's perfectly said. And we will requisition this to the vault forever because who the fuck gives a shit?
Who the fuck gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yep, you can look at that in the court documents. They really said it.
But yeah, that is kind of the end of the story for our man Carl Rinsch. I'm sure he's back to either he's directing commercials or he's just cooling it. Either way.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he just got a little big for his britches and maybe had a touch of the mania, and maybe he just needs to stick to the small scale. You can make a great living doing commercials, man.
Yeah.
You don't need $55 million from Netflix for a show. You'll be all right.
I'm going to say it doesn't even seem like he was that passionate about the show.
Yeah.
Like, I know they called it a passion project, but I feel like if it's a passion project and you get $50 million, you're going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. You don't just like squander all that money.
Yeah. I swear nothing will show you what you really don't actually give a shit about, like financial stability. The thing you stop doing the minute you got your money right, you're like, oh, I actually didn't care about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So worth it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, aside from here's what I don't like about the guy. It sounds like he was really shitty to his workers. He hired outside a union. He gave some poor girl fucking hypothermia. He wanted to shoot for 24 hours. Seems like an absolute chore, to say the least.
Yeah. Not a great guy, not somebody I want to be around, but for him, worth it.
Totally worth it. Yeah.
Yep.
If Netflix ever comes to you and gives you $50 million to make a show, just do it. Although it seems like we're not in that day anymore.
They are not throwing this kind of money at stuff like this anymore. No way.
Yeah, no, they learned their lesson.
Chance.
Yeah. But guys, that is the story of Carl Rinsch and Conquest, aka White Horse, aka Give Me Everything You Got, Netflix. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Kath, you got anything coming up?
If you're listening to this the day it comes out and you're in New York, come to Halyards in Gowanus tomorrow, the 19th. I'm doing Bitches Brew at 8:30. And listen to my other podcast, What a Time to Be Alive. Comes out every Monday.
Nice. Yeah, let's see, what do I got? Funniest person in Austin contest, August 10th, Cap City Comedy Club. Watch me do 6 minutes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, that's all I got coming up. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a fun episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. Let us know what you think. Also, who's seen Beforeigners? Holler at me. It's only got 2 seasons. I need somebody to talk to about it. But yeah, if you guys like what you heard, we do 2 free episodes every month. You can listen to those wherever you listen to your podcast. We also have our Patreon, patreon.com/liecheatandsteal. We have a huge back catalog, like a ton of episodes.
Over 100. Yeah.
Over 100. Yeah, over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Log in for a month, burn through them, peace out, or forget to cancel, whatever. Like we're not here to live your life, dude. But yeah. We're on all the socials, and by all I mean the big 3. We're on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. We're at Lie Cheat Steal Podcast. So look us up, join the movement that is Scam Gang. Also, make sure if you haven't already, please leave us a glowing review and a 5-star rating. That really helps get the word out. That being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Get some Netflix money if you can. If you can't, don't feel bad. Be safe, be smart, but above all, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. See you next time.